right, so welcome to the Build a Thriving Community program. So, thank you for joining me, Carmen. I appreciate you being here. So, this course is going to be self-paced. If you are doing this live with me, obviously it's not self-paced, but it's going to go into if you're seeing this later on, then it's at your pace. You can do it on your own time. One thing to note is there is going to be some reflection and doing some homework, right? Because we're going to be going deep into the structure of your Facebook group and building your community. Now, I've built this program based on Facebook's guidelines. Right. So I've gone through their community growth, community building course, and I've actually revamped this course. I created it about 2 years ago. I've revamped it based on the new guidelines they've put out this year. So it's quite up to date, and as new things keep on coming up, I will be adding on to this as well. So if you have access to this program, you will be receiving an email whenever we update it or add things into this program. Okay, so I like to start off my presentations with quotes. Carmen might know that. So to accomplish great things, we must not only act, but also dream, not only plan, but also believe. So anytime I do this program, I always like to start from the very bottom, which is the foundation of your community building. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And then I'll tell you what else is involved in this course as we progress. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me and you're brand new to this, my name is Nilu Camus, and for the next 6 weeks, we're going to, or rather the next six modules, if you're doing this self-paced, my mission is to extraordinarily serve you and help you build a community that is thriving. That means you have an engaged audience, and I'm also going to be teaching you how to monetize that group. That means how to create interest, how to take your customers or prospects rather from awareness all the way to a sale. Okay, and we're going to do that all in a community environment. Okay, so take a couple of minutes here, and I would like you to think about what is one thing that you love about building a community. And if you can't really relate to building a community at this point because you've never done it before, think about what do you really love about being part of a community, right? We all have our own reasons for wanting it, for loving it rather. For me, it actually started from the fact that I actually left my own community. I left it behind and I ran away. No, I didn't run away. I actually moved away from where I grew up for university, to the other side of the globe, essentially. I'm originally from Sri Lanka. And I lost that entire support structure, right? So when I got married to my husband, we didn't have anybody. I live in Canada now, so if you're watching this now, obviously I'm in Canada, and I didn't have anybody. We were newly married. I got pregnant soon after, and it was really overwhelming. I was emotionally like down in the gutter, and there was nobody for me to you know connect with and seek comfort in or get support from, and it was really a very hard time. And where community really came through is we met this amazing couple that took us in, and they were part of this church community. It was a religious community, and they took us in, and they fed us. They took me to doctor's appointments. In fact, the lady that we became very good friends after, we're still good friends, she was actually my birthing partner. So it was a really humbling experience. And I realized the power of community through that experience. And so when I think about building a community right now, those emotions, those values really stand for me. So connection, sisterhood, support, strength, those are just some of the ones that I love about building community. So think about what that means for you, because when we're going through today's homework, you're going to have to write these out for yourself. That's going to help you create the foundation for your community. So over the next 6 weeks, we are going to practice and demonstrate some of these things. So courage, action despite our insecurities and fears. We're gonna be audacious. That means we're gonna move forward or forward motion despite limits. We're going to be curious and ready to learn and try new things. We're going to be eager and have fun while building. We're going to focus. That means we're going to be aligned with our vision. Okay, we're going to be talking about vision in the next couple of slides. And intention, creating an impact that you are passionate about. It has to be a little bit more than just yourself, right? That's when you're thinking community, it's not just about you, it's not just about my family or your family, it's about a community as a whole. So we're going to look at how you can take your business vision, what you're building as a business, and why you're building that business for, but also we're going to look at how to attach a community goal and a community vision to that to support the success of your business. So my job during our time together is going to be guiding you to evaluate your strategy, right? Your strategy, not just to build your community, but also how is it going to connect in supporting the growth of yourself and your business. Shift your perspective. There are going to be things that you're going to learn in this program that's going to be familiar. There are going to be things that are new. So I want you to keep an open mind and really evaluate how these things that we're learning is going to help you to grow your business and your community. We're going to help you define your ideal community. Now, I'm sure you've heard of, ideal client a lot, but in this case, we're looking at an ideal community. So we're going a little bit back and thinking, okay, we're going broader here. We're not just trying to define one person, we're trying to define a community of people. And we're going to help you, I'm going to help you simplify the technical roadblocks involved in community building right here on Facebook, right? The Facebook is always changing. We know that. But I'm going to promise you that as we progress through this course, we're going to go through all of the elements that's involved in a community building scenario that Facebook actually offers us as tools to help us set goals, measure those goals, evaluate those measurements, and so on and so forth, so that you're actually taking the information that Facebook is giving you, which is essentially metrics about your community, and how to turn that into creating value back to your community. Okay. And then lastly, I promise to deliver value that converts to results. So, what you're learning here is actually going to help you build your business through community building. Okay. All right, so today's training, we're going to look at 4 things. We're going to look at your roadmap for marketing, you're creating lasting change through your community, success mindset and strategies, and defining success pillars for your community. So success mindset and strategies, I think for you, Carmen, because you're live, or any of my members that are watching this on the replay, you guys are here because you have a success mindset. So this is more for people who are new, who have dived into this program, and they still need that mindset, the success mindset instilled in them, because sometimes life gets us down. Things in business are not going well, and sometimes it's challenging, right? There's always challenges that happen in our personal lives that could affect the way we show up for our community, for our business. So keeping that success mindset is really important. And then the roadmap for marketing, we're going to go into looking at how and where we are going to meet these new potential members that ideally connect with your values and the mission that you have for your community. And then how do we capture their attention and how do we attract them into joining our group? So those are some of the things that we're going to talk about in today's training. Okay, so let's start off with the roadmap, or in other words, it's called the customer value journey. I'm trying to position my image here on the side so it's not blocking the slide. Okay, so this is actually something that I grabbed from digitalmarketer.com. So your customer value journey, this is all marketing speak. What this is a snapshot of where and how we're going to capture our customers' attention based on where they're at in their journey. So I'll start off at the beginning, and as we kind of progress through, you're going to be able to connect it with your own business depending on what service you provide and what challenges you help your customers overcome. Okay, so the first stage of the customer value journey is called the awareness stage, which is way down here. Okay, so let's take a brand new business as an example, right? If you're sorry, not a brand new business, a brand new prospect. Let's say you're creating value for somebody as a coach. Okay, let's say you are a business coach, for example, and you're trying to help people who are already in business that want to get aligned. You want to give them some clarity, and you're going to help coach them get to that destination they want to get to. The people in the awareness phase are generally people who don't really know that they need a business coach. Maybe they're not even aware that there is such a thing, right? So the type of content that you're going to put out in this awareness phase is different from if you were talking to somebody who already had a business coach in the past and is looking for somebody new, right? So in this phase, you're going to be talking to people about the benefits of getting a business coach. You might be talking to directly to their pain points and talking about, okay, here is this something that you're struggling with, I can help you. So those kinds of relationship building strategies come in this first stage of building awareness. You're building awareness for your audience and saying, "Hey, I help with this. Come follow me." Right? Now, it used to work in those simple terms, but not anymore. You have to really think about how to get in front of them and capture their attention. So we'll talk about some of those strategies later on in the course. Okay, the next level is called the engagement level. This is where somebody who sees a post that you put on social media might start connecting with you. Maybe they send you a friend request on Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform you're in. This particular customer value journey can be duplicated on any platform or for any business, really. Even though it's called digital marketer, it's created by digital marketer. It's a marketing strategy that we look at regardless of where we're marketing. Okay, so the engagement phase is when people are really wanting to connect with you, whether they have either identified that they're your ideal customer, or it might be that they just really resonate with this type of content that you're putting out, right? So this is where prospects would read a blog post, engage us on social media, watch us a video, etc. The next step is subscription. Okay, this is where you capture them, because Once you know that somebody is interested in what you have to say, regardless of whether they are your ideal customer or not, you want to get them to subscribe to your material. That means it could be a newsletter, it could be subscribing to your YouTube channel, subscribing or liking your Facebook page. It's just a way to capture them into your audience segment so they continue to see and hear what you have to share on these public platforms. Okay. The next phase is the convert segment. So this means now that they have subscribed to your list, they're going to get in front of your offers, right? So when you have a workshop running, when you have a launch for a new program, when you are signing up new clients, or putting out a sale or special offer, you want to get that in front of your list. Now, it's easier to get this offer in front of this list as opposed to getting this offer in front of this list. Okay, so what most of us do on digital marketing when we're doing digital marketing on Facebook or any of these social platforms is we're trying to get this offer to these people who have no clue that we exist, or no clue maybe that they even need our services, or they have the problem that we solve. Right? Some of the people, most people will understand the symptoms of the problem, but they wouldn't understand what the problem really is, except if you are an expert in that area, right? So when you're trying to convince somebody in the awareness phase and convert them, it's a lot harder than when you're trying to convert somebody in the subscribe phase, right? Because you also have to understand that through these 3 stages, you've also built a sort of a relationship with these people, right? They are going to be interacting with you. They might be watching your videos. They might really resonate with what you're saying. They might even disagree with what you're saying. But either way, they have built some sort of a relationship with you, and you've created a number of touch points with them. This is a marketing term as well. Touch points just means they have either seen your stuff, they have liked your stuff, they have read your stuff, however that means. Maybe you called them and they saw a missed call. That's considered a touch point too. So if you're once they get to this phase, that means you've had a number of touch points. The next thing that we kind of try to flow towards is getting them excited, right? So the excite phase. This is where the customers get value from the initial transaction. So ideally, when we're thinking of creating a sales funnel per se, now I'm going a little bit too deep into this in this slide, but I want you to capture value here. Ideally, in this initial convert phase, you're trying to get them to purchase something small. It's not a high ticket investment. It's a low ticket investment where you're still getting compensated for your time and your efforts. They're getting an opportunity to get to know you, get to understand the quality of work that you do and what value they can get from you. Okay. So in this phase, they're getting excited because they have received value from the money they invested in you, from the time they invested in you in order to take a program, right? Maybe attend your workshop. They have received value. Then, and only then, is when you push them or flow. We like to use the word flow, flow towards your core offer. Now, your core offer is your signature offer, your high ticket offer, so to speak, right? You send them towards your core offer, and then in there, you could have different upsells. We'll talk more about what these are later on in the course. Now, you might notice some of these arrows go back and forth, okay? And that might mean just you have different products, you have different services, you have different focuses. It just depends a lot on your business structure, okay? Once they ascend into becoming a customer in your core offer, then we can move them into the advocate phase. This is where successful customers give customer testimonials and case studies, so you can now start promoting your offers, your products as part of the as part of that ecosystem. So you're taking their testimonials to actually position your offer as valuable, because there are people who have already received value and they can speak to how you have helped transform their life in whatever capacity that you've done that, right? And then lastly, once you go through that, once they've gone through and become an advocate, then you can also help use them to promote. So this is where affiliate programs come in. This is where referral programs come in. They become the cheerleaders of your brand, right? So this is another stream of revenue that you can build, because now you're not having to do all of the work. Now, what I love about Facebook communities or digital communities in general that are built to align with a business, right, is that you can actually build this whole customer journey inside of a digital community. Okay, so you could have it positioned, you could have the community positioned to advertise your specific skill set or your offers, and bring people who are in that awareness stage right into your community. You can use the community content to put the content that you want to create that awareness, to engage them right in the community itself. You can get them to opt in. You can put links in there. You can give them opt-ins. You can have them sign up for a bot. You can have them sign up for an email newsletter, so to speak. And you're getting them involved in multiple ways, and you're not just depending on the community interactions, right? Then you can go take, they become your clients. They move over to the excite phase. They start talking about what what results they got. They're going to get into your core offer. Some of them, not all of them will. Some of them will elevate into or ascend into the core offer. Then they're going to become advocates. They're going to start talking. When somebody new comes in from the awareness phase and they ask a question, once you have successful customers who are acting as advocates for you, these people are going to start answering the questions of these new people that are in, and asking those beginner level questions. So you are not having to do all the work at that point. And so, like I said, this is why this is why I love community building online, because it creates that sort of an ecosystem where you can actually build your business, and your community is supporting the growth of your business and supporting you, right? So that's, in a nutshell, your roadmap for, or your, in other words, customer value journey. Now, like I said, depending on your business, there may be different ways, different things that we can put in here. Now, everybody in this room right now, I'm speaking for all the people who are also going to watch the replay, but everybody who is going through this program with me live has actually had this done for them, right? We did this before the program started. We mapped out each interaction, each thing that we could potentially do in all of these phases, and how to package their products and services potentially to meet some of the requirements in these phases. Okay. All right, so let's keep going. Can you guys see my my full screen, or are you seeing yourselves in the window as well? Carmen, Melanie?
I see the three of us on the right side, so it's cutting off the, but I think.
Is it cutting off the screen?
Yeah, but that's okay because I can drag it.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see the full screen. So,
Okay, awesome. Okay. Because I'm not sure, because I'm recording. I'm not sure how it's recording. So I'm just moving it around. Hopefully the full screen is getting recorded. Okay. So creating lasting change becomes possible with the power of community. I truly believe that. So the people you surround yourself with play an influential part in the decisions you make. These people you're gathering inside a Facebook group are not just potential clients, they are your tribe. I can tell you so many stories, so many stories of when my tribe, my members in my Facebook group, lifted me up when I was down or supported me through something that I was doing that was not even business related. Okay. So, um, I'm not saying this lightly. I really want you guys to take this to heart. And I know most of you in here already, like who are live right now, you guys know what I'm talking about. The people that are in your community, the people that you end up spending a lot of time with these people, with these community members. And as a result, you build really strong connections, deeper connections than sometimes, it can come to a point where you find your best friends in there. Okay. So it's a powerful way of building and supporting yourself and your business. So I just want to put that out there before we move any further. So another thing to consider is you are a leader. The reason I put this in this slide deck is because there are lots of people who I talk to, they don't consider themselves leaders, even though they have a big community that they lead. They say to me, "Oh, I don't know if I'm a leader." And I'm like, "No, you are a leader. There's people following you. There's people who are following your advice. There's people that look up to you. You're a leader. So, like it or not, it's a reality. Okay, your community will look up to you. Authenticity becomes a key element in your business growth. So put serious thought into the message you put out there. I cannot stress that enough. Okay. The exercise we're going to do today is actually going to be based on that, to really get clear on what your message is going to be, because I have seen where community leaders have this, this value system that they talk about, on their live videos, on their content, and then you go into their community, and because their community is, very close knit, and it's a place of comfort, they tend to, put their guard down. I'm not saying you should have your guard up all the time. What I'm saying is, you have to be, the message you're putting out there has to be aligned with who you really are, because otherwise it's going to contradict what you're building, right? And having said that, though, I do want to say that we're all human. We're all human. We make mistakes. We all get emotional. We all sometimes, do things that are not in alignment with who we are. Um, And I just want to remind, sorry, not a weakness. It's actually something that builds you up as a leader, right? So when you make a mistake, oh, I went against my community values. I preach about this. I stand for this. And I just, lost it because I was having a really bad day. I had a really bad client. I had a really bad interaction and I lost it. Be okay to go to your community and say, "I'm sorry," right? That's where I wanted to share about the authenticity, because right now polls show that a lot of people look for authenticity when they look at interacting on a business level. Okay, so all right, so success, I talked about this a little bit earlier. This is for you if you are brand new to business, or if you are struggling with mindset, right? Struggling with maybe personal situations that are affecting your business, maybe it's financial, maybe it's relationships, whatever that is. Mindset is super, super important. If you're moving towards achieving certain results in your business, it's important to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your thoughts, right? So these are some of the incantations or affirmations, what have you, whatever you would like to call it, that has helped me to kind of stay grounded. So you will get access to these slides. So if you want to write them down or print them out and say it, I recommend that you say them out loud to yourself at least once a day. Okay. So I'm not going to go through them, but basically, well, actually, let's go through them just once. So the first one is I create my success and am responsible for what I choose to do or not do. I'm willing to try new things and make mistakes because I know this will lead to massive growth. I choose to celebrate progress instead of worrying about my pace. I'm not just willing, but eager to celebrate others' success. I'm resourceful, creative, powerful, and brave. I am an expression of love, hope, and kindness. Kindness has a I, sorry, typo. Am confident and embrace money that flows to me. I'm a master at my craft. I'm achieving progress every single day. So those are things that just repeating these things. You're telling yourself that you are a confident leader that is showing up for your community, right? And if you feel like at some point when you're reading this out, if you feel like, oh, but I can't say that, if you feel the resistance to what you're saying, then it's time that you just sit back and think about, okay, why am I feeling this resistance? Like really go inside and figure out what's making you feel uneasy. Because if you leave it unchecked, it might just lead you down a path where there's going to be more resistance and more issues that come up, that at that point it's not going to be easy to dig yourself out of that mental state, right? So just a quick thing that I really learned. And for me, I've gone through so many programs. Mindset is something that every single program looks at, whether you take a course, whether you take a workshop. And there's a reason to that. There's a reason to that because we tend to let ourselves go sometimes, and we tend to forget to sit down and spend time with ourselves. So these are just reminders for you to make sure that you're giving yourself the time and the space to really go within and, hold space for yourself, right? Okay, enough of that. We'll go to the next slide. What would happen if you repeated these phrases at the start of your day? Well, continuing on what I was saying, study revealed that people who use these statements in a daily habit or every day, again, typo, sorry about that, saw an increase in their sense of confidence, IQ, and progress, as well as achievements. So there you go. Okay, now we're going to the meat of today's training. Now, I'm going to give you at the end a worksheet so that you can put all of these into perspective. So you're going to have at the end of this training, once you do your homework, you're going to have a binder or I think it's about 6 sheets of information that you're going to take on to our next session. Okay, it's going to help you tighten up some of the things that are already existing. So if you already have a Facebook group or if you already have a digital community elsewhere, it's going to help you really bring things together. And you might want to edit some of the things that you say about your group. Maybe it's the description, maybe it's in how you implement community rules, those kinds of things. But we're going to start with setting community goals. Okay, so clarity is power. The more clear you are about exactly what you want, the more your brain will find ways to get you there, right? We know this. Okay, let's define and establish your community. So creating the framework to help you build a community that will support your growth and that of your business. Remember, growing an audience that is dialed into your message is the process that leads you to your destination. So remember to enjoy this process. That means when you do this exercise, you pick up a cup of coffee or a nice cup of tea and enjoy this writing process. Treat it sort of as a journaling practice almost. I think I said about 6 pages. So you could essentially do 1 page every day instead of trying to do everything together. The reason I say that is you don't want to make this like an exercise where you just say, okay, Nilu told me to do this, so I'm just gonna, rush through this. I don't want you to do that because this is actually the foundation for your community. So I want you to take your time with it, and I want you to put some effort and energy into making sure that you have the right intention behind it. So maybe that means if you're really, if you like to be creative, maybe that means putting together a nice binder and putting some personal touches to that binder before you put those sheets of paper in there, right? So I'll leave that part to you. It is important that you get it done. So if you don't have the time, if you're super busy, I get it. There's no wrong way of doing this, but I have found when I actually took the time and prep for it and put intention behind it, the results I got was so much more powerful than just sitting down and checking it off my list. Okay, so community mission, getting clear on the overall impact of your community. Sorry. I keep clicking on the wrong thing, guys. Hold on. All right, there we go. Getting clear on the overall impact of your community is trying to make impact your community is trying to make on your members and in the world. So your community mission, the reason I'm putting this out there is we as business owners, we go into building Facebook communities thinking, oh, it's a way that I can capture clients. It's a way that I can gather an audience. It's a way that I can make money. Yes, we all get that, right? But I want you to really think about beyond yourself here. Remember I said you're a leader and people are following you? You have a huge responsibility. What is that saying? Superman, the famous quote in Superman, with great responsibility. No, I can't remember how it goes. Does anybody know? Okay. So community, when you're building your community, you are going to be connecting with a lot of different people. Some of these people are going to be strong in what they know and what they want. Some of them are not. And you as a leader, you're going to be molding some of these people that are going to come to you. So getting clear on the overall impact your community is trying to make is really important. That means you're thinking beyond just your family, just your, maybe not immediate family, even beyond your extended family. How is my community going to impact my local community, right? Where I live? How is building this business going to impact the world? Maybe you're really driven to environmental issues and that is something that you want to create change in. Maybe you're really passionate about creating awareness on a spiritual plane. Maybe that is something that you want to focus on. So figure out what that is, right? So here are some guiding questions when you're doing this exercise. You can ask yourself, why do I want to build a community, right? And that could be, most of the time it might be, okay, I want to be able to build an audience so I can grow my business. Great. What else? How does that extend for you? What do you want to accomplish with this community? Yes, making, $100,000 in revenue. Maybe that's your first community goal or mission, right? But what does that enable you to do with that? How are you going to be able to help others? How is that connecting to your bigger vision, right? What impact do I want this community to make in the future? Okay, now I want you to answer these questions not from a personal standpoint, but from a community standpoint, because again, going back, you're going to have a lot of different people that are coming together in this community. So think about or imagine the potential that you have to creating this change that you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so next one. The next step is community goals. So define what you want to achieve through your community to support your mission. So the first one we talked about is mission, right? What's your mission? What are the goals? You can have one or many goals. They are often broad and general statements. So for example, your mission might be, I want to help women feel confident in themselves, right? That could be your mission. Your goal is going to be broken down into little pieces. So take that big mission and you break it down, okay? So your guiding questions for this one is going to be, what endeavors or activities do you need to accomplish to achieve your mission? So in a community environment, some examples might be, I am going to talk about specific topics and I'm going to do a community discussion every week, right? Or I'm going to put out a video every week about this particular topic, right? And I'm going to share it with my community and get them to help me spread that word, right? So something like that would be your community goals. How does this goal support the community mission? Now, it always has to come back to that. If your goals are not aligned with your mission, then there's a mismatch. And what would end up happening eventually is your members are going to be doing whatever they want, and they're not going to be in alignment with your mission. Okay, so this is step number 2. Come up with goals that align with your mission. The next step, this is step number 3, is objectives. So objectives are measurable, precise, and time-bound goals that will help you get to community goals. Okay, so let's say one of your community goals is to influence, I don't know, let's say 100 people to join your cause, whatever that cause is, right? So that means potentially having 100 clients that are happy and that have gotten results from what you've shared, that have helped create transformation for them. So let's say that was your goal. Objectives are, how do you actually get those 100 clients? So do you have a step-by-step time-bound goal? So to get to those 100 clients, right, you're going to need to start some sort of a program. So maybe that's creating an offer. Maybe that's looking at adding more people into your community. And how many do you need to add in order to get to those 100 people, right? And what does that mean in terms of conversions, right? How do I measure that? How do I come up with a strategy to get more people into the group or more people into my offer? So those are your objectives. So they have to be measurable. That means they have to be tangible, right? Not tangible. You have to be able to say, okay, here's my objective and here's my goal. Your goal can be broad. Your objective has to be precise. Does that make sense, ladies? Okay. So some of the questions you can ask are my objectives specific? Are they measurable? Are they attainable? That has to be a key piece. If you're setting an objective to bring in 1,000 people into the group and you have a front end offer that's priced at $10,000, okay, let's say hypothetically, how long is that going to take for you to get somebody to pay you $10,000 right off the bat without even knowing who you are? Do you know what I'm saying? So is it attainable? Is it a realistic objective? Is it relevant? Is it relevant to the type of community that you're building and the type of people that are in your community? So those are some of the questions you can ask. Okay. All right. So this is very closely tied to your objectives, right? Measurement. So this is something that I know a lot of people struggle with. I want to bring you back to this image that I have put here, the measuring cups. Now, most of my clients are women and I'm not a really good cook. I'll admit that, but we know how to measure stuff, right? When we follow a recipe, we have a slight idea, I hope, to measure, like, little things. So if you think about the importance of measurements, ladies, it's important to measure, because when let's say you're baking something, right? If you put too much of one ingredient, you're going to make that baking flop. If it's a cake, it might not rise. If it's if it's something like a baked goodie, it might become like a rock. You never know. It depends on what you put too much of or what you put too little of, right? So measurements, when it comes to data, when it comes to building community, can really give you an idea of the right combination of what you're putting in versus what you're getting out. Okay. Now, Facebook has certain tools that they have made available to us right within groups. Once you have, I think, over 200 people, you start getting in-depth analytics of what types of content that you're putting out there, how much they're responding to that content, what kind of demographic that you have in the group, what kind of timeframes they respond to your posts at. So there's lots of different things that that we can capture from the data, from those measurements. Now, on top of that, when you're selling something that's not necessarily connected to Facebook, there are other ways to measure, the conversion rates. How many people, so if you use an email tool, for example, it's going to tell you how many people are opening your emails, how many people are clicking on your emails, right? So those are all measurements. So it's important to understand how to measure and how to read those measurements so it can help you tweak the content and build those relationships that you're trying to make inside of your community. Okay, so the data, we call them key performance indicators that we can track to determine the community's success at each of the objectives that reach toward achieving your goal. So guiding questions is, so when you're thinking of, okay, what are some of the KPIs or what are some of the data I need to measure based on the objective I'm trying to achieve? For example, let's say one of the objectives you're trying to achieve is to get a certain number of people into your community per week, right? In that case, your KPI would be, how many people am I adding to my group every day, right? How many people are actually engaging in my group every day? So those are your KPIs for measurement. When you're writing these down, they have to measure, they have to connect back into your goal setting, right? If you're trying to grow your group, then you're going to be looking at certain set of data. If you're trying to build engagement in your group, you're looking at a certain set of data. If you're trying to sell in your group or looking for conversions into customers, you're going to be looking at a certain set of data. So that's where that connection really comes through. So when you're writing out your key performance indicators or what you're going to be measuring, again, make sure you're referencing your goal and then writing them out. Okay. So guiding questions: what data will help you determine whether you are meeting your community goals and objectives? Do you have access to this data? Is the data source reliable? And how can you process data to measure a KPI? Now, next week, we're actually going to be, once you guys do this homework, don't worry if you are like doing the homework and you're thinking, I don't really get this. I have no idea how to connect KPIs to goals. It's okay. Do what you can, do what you think you got out of this exercise, or rather this training, and then we're going to evaluate some of your work next week, and I'll give you feedback on how to improve it. Okay. Okay, now this is my favorite one, the values. Okay, the behaviors and targets that are important to you and your community. That's what your values are. Values set the standard of how you want to achieve your objectives and goals and fulfill your mission. So you want to identify what your values are in this specific exercise. Okay, what are your values personally? And usually when you're writing down community values, it extends from personal values. Okay, so you're asking yourself, what kind of behavior do I expect from a valued member of my community? That's going to help you write down your values. Or your community values. What does it look like, feel like, or sound like for a member of my community to act on these values? What are the values that I want for my community to be known for? So you're going to write those down, and then next, those values are going to help you build your guiding principles, or in other words, your community standards. Okay, you're going to set, these are a set of statements that instruct your community on how you plan to uphold your community mission and values. These standards must be aligned with your mission and your values. They have to be posted publicly, ideally. You can put them under the rules section, which is in the about section of your group. Or, you know, if you have a group anywhere, if you're building a community on another platform other than Facebook, you can still put it in the about section. You can also share this on your website if that's something that you have set up to do. Like you could share your community values on your website or your blog in the about section. You can put it in the announcements tab inside of your Facebook group and pin it to the top. You should ideally be reviewing these community standards every 3 months, because your business evolves, your community evolves as it grows. So you may want to check on them and do some edits. So a good example is engagement rules. So as when you start off your community, because it's very small, if you put too many rules, it's going to create this level of unease and uncomfortableness for people, because they're not really sure, oh, well, I'm not really sure what the rules are, so I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to post in this group because I don't want to get slapped on my wrist, right? So it's nice as you know, when you first start a group, when you first create a group, it's nice to have little rules or very clear rules with, you know, not a lot of you know, hard rules, right? Make sure when you're sharing your rules, you're giving them reasons as to why. So when I give you the cheat sheet or the exercise sheet, there's going to be a little bit of a couple of guidelines on how to phrase those rules in a very a positive way, rather than saying do not. You're going to say something like, we like, you know, authenticity, so we ask that you do this and this, you know, something like that. You can consider post approvals where necessary, so that you're able to enforce those rules, right? So it depends on what kind of community you're building. So for example, I know I have a client who runs a community for people who are at high risk. So they're women who, you know, were abused, were in abusive relationships. So they're very careful on what they put on the group, even though it's a private group, because, you know, there's a lot of sensitivity involved. They're very careful in what's allowed to be posted and what's not. So they have post moderation turned on for that reason. So the members understand that, because they all understand the need for their privacy and the need for, you know, information to be shared not so publicly, right? So they are okay with that. But if you go into a marketing related group and you say, well, there's going to be post moderation turned on, then nobody's going to want to share their offers in there or market themselves in there, because it's just too much of a hassle, right? Because again, depending on the moderators and the admins, if I have a promotion going on for tomorrow and I have to think about posting it 2 weeks ahead to meet their moderation guidelines, it's not going to be feasible for me. So I'm just going to skip it, right? So it depends on the group. And that's why here I talk about upholding your community mission and values. So it's really important to tie these back to your mission and values. And when you set these rules, you have to make them realistic in the sense you can enforce the rules, right? If you are only one person and you're running a group of 10,000 and you're saying, don't post this, that's not realistic, because you're not going to have the time to go through every single post that's posted there to make sure you're enforcing it. So if that's the case, you have to come up with an alternate strategy. Either you put post moderation, turn on post moderation, or you get somebody who is either a volunteer or a paid member to become a moderator in that group, right? So again, they have to be enforceable, because if not, it's just not going to work, right? People are just going to take over your group and run with it, and then it's no longer going to be aligned with the values and the mission that you're trying to uphold. You are never meant to go on this journey alone. If you want to go far, find a tribe that supports you. So the reason I want to say this to you is this is something, even if you're watching this on the replay and doing this at your own pace, it's important to understand that you're not alone in this. We are going through this process together. So if you have questions or if you need more clarity, lean on us as a group to help you through this process. So I encourage you to brainstorm and collaborate and share what you're doing with each other, right? Whether it's on the Facebook group, or if you're not comfortable doing that, connect privately with each other, or, you know, with me, and share your progress through this process of creating your thriving community. Because, you know, everybody gets stuck somewhere. We all get stuck. And it's important to know that as a community, we can come together and help each other build through this process. People working together in a strong community with a shared purpose and a common goal can create the impossible. I truly believe that, which is why I'm so passionate about creating community and building community and helping other people build communities. So I encourage you to, you know, work together, and we will be able to see the results in your growing and thriving communities. So that is today's training, ladies. I'm just gonna stop recording. And I never can find the button when I need to stop recording. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it either. Oh, here it is.